Welcome back to Open to Truth, a podcast all about exploring big ideas and discovering truth together. My name's Clint.
Hey, I'm Tony. Welcome back.
I wanted to chat today about a book that I just completed reading.
Okay.
I've actually read this sucker 3 times now.
I was going to say, I thought you had read this before last year.
I did. I read it summer of 2019, and then it might have been 2020. The years are getting all...
You're reading this every year. It's a yearly read for you.
It has been this so far. So I read
Is there any other book that's like that?
No.
Wow.
The only ones I was just thinking, now this has entered into the reread status of like a Lord of the Rings.
I was going to say maybe Lord of the Rings.
Or Harry Potter or something. But
okay. All right. So it must be good. What are we doing?
yeah, so I guess I've read it each of the past 3 years. The first when it came out, I was excited about it.
Yep.
And then I led a little small group for my group leaders on it. And then I just did it with our interns at church.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Here it is. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. I think he recently stepped down as the pastor of Bridgetown Church, but he was, I think, at the time of writing this. In any case,
I like how they've chosen to design that.
That's good.
Nice and simple.
The whole book is extremely readable. That's why I've been doing it. It's funny. A lot of good references and like cultural tie-ins. It's good.
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Yep. And yeah, I guess ultimately this will be kind of a discussion about the spiritual disciplines. But as a launching point, just to explain what that title's from.
Yeah.
There's this, the foreword is by this bloke, John Ortberg, and he's a megachurch pastor out in California, Menlo Park. And he was kind of being mentored by Dallas Willard. Some people may recognize that name. Big time Christian thinker, philosopher. And John was asking, he's like kind of experiencing some burnout in his role as leading this huge organization and pastoring. Dallas, how can I be the best version of me? And there's this long pause, and Dallas Willard says, you must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. And John's like, oh, okay. All right, what else should I do?
What else can I add to the list?
And Willard's like, there is nothing else. The great enemy, spirit.
You got it. Come on, channel you to Willard.
The great enemy of spiritual life in our day is hurry. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life.
That is a surprising answer to get from someone like Dallas Willard, who's written plenty of books about spiritual formation, and you would expect someone like that to say, what was the question? How can I be the best version of me? Read your Bible every day and pray every day and try to be more like Jesus. Some moralization is what you would normally expect, like try to be more selfless or something. But this answer of beware hurry.
And to call it the greatest enemy of spiritual life in our day. If you asked the average person what that
What's
would be.
the greatest enemy?
You could have a whole, I'm sure you'd hear Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party, porn.
Yeah. Maybe social media.
Social media. Sex trafficking. I don't know what it would.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of other things besides hurry.
Yeah.
That people would point to. So I guess from there, let's kind of drill down on what he can mean by that.
Yeah, why would that be the case?
Eliminate hurry. Well, what is hurry? When you hear that, when that claim,
when I think about a calendar that has more obligations than hours in the day to fill them.
Oh dear.
Or
They've
like
really mismanaged their schedule.
Yeah, maybe not a calendar, but like or at least that feeling when I'm feeling hurried, I'm feeling like there's more being demanded of me than I have time to meet. So I have to move quick and go from task to task, get it all done. That's what I think about as far as hurry. A lack of breathing room in my life. So I'm going straight from one meeting to the next, and I'm kind of running late, and I better not get stuck in traffic, or that's going to really piss me off, or, that's hurry for me.
Yeah. One of the authors that he cites has this term hyper living, skimming along the surface of life and never really getting down deep and living from your core or being present. Is kind of like some...
You said...
Modern lingo.
You say hyper living?
Hyper living.
Hyper living. That, This goes to what we talked. It must have been over a year since we talked about this, but you know, the sense that we have of like, my real life's going to start somewhere down the road, but not yet. So I'm just kind of getting through this, and then I'll really do life or whatever. And that is sort of the hurried way. Once I get through all these tasks, then, and it's like never seems to be the case, at least for me. It's like there will be more tasks.
Or another way they put it in there is the danger is that you will have mislived. You will have.
That's a terrifying word, dude. To mislive. I've never heard that, but you just freaked me out at the concept that that's even a thing. Yes, of course.
And that doesn't mean like you here and there did unethical things or something, or you made a mistake. It's that
but you were kind of getting through your life.
You missed the point, or you didn't really focus on what mattered, and you squandered. All this is wrapped up into it. Misliving.
And it's interesting when you say squandered like that. The word squander makes me think of you've got idle time and you haven't done enough. You should be more hurried. You squandered. But maybe that's not what you're saying. Yeah, that's counterintuitive. Because the message of make sure you show up for your life, be present, that is often coupled with like the Instagram influencer, Gary V type, like hyper-productive, figure out what you want in life and get after it and make a list and get up and grind every day and do it so that your life really counts. That message is packaged together where hyper living, if that's what we're going to call it, is sort of praised as, it's cram as much as you can in, get as much as you done as you can, because life's short, got to make it count.
Yeah. So I think they try to, I mean, it's one author, but he's referencing a lot of different people. They're saying similar things. It's not necessarily the claim that you have a full schedule, because wisdom would also have you live life intentionally. And just as a financial advisor would say, every dollar in your budget should have a name on it before it goes out. Like you're spending your money intentionally, whatever it might be, even if it's money on fun and blow.
Know that you're doing it.
Yeah. It's like,
sorry, did you say fun and blow?
Like a blow money, you're just kind of blowing it.
Isn't blow cocaine?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, like, kind of frivolity. But it's a line item in the budget. Like you did it on purpose.
Yeah. Just plan for your cocaine binges. If you're going to binge, plan it.
So I think similarly, like a time management or production coach, like Gary Vee might be one. Nothing bad about having your time spoken for on a calendar and you're being intentional. I'm going to do this at this time.
In fact, you actually might need a tool like a calendar to do what John's talking about in this book.
Yes.
Properly. So scheduling's not the enemy.
Yeah, it's maybe it's more of an inner spiritual state of hyper living, or this hurried attitude, frenzied,
like a posture, an internal stance towards life.
Let me read some
please,
some symptoms here.
Yeah, hit us with the how do you know if you've accidentally built yourself a hurried life?
Wouldn't it be cool if I just found it right away?
Well, you will.
So let's see if any of this resonates. This is these are some of the symptoms of what living a hurried life will yield. We feel distant from God and end up living off someone else's spirituality via a podcast feed, or book, or one-page devotional. We feel distant from ourselves. We lose sight of our identities and callings. We get sucked into the tyranny of the urgent, not the important. We feel an undercurrent of anxiety that rarely, if ever, goes away. This sense that we're always behind, always playing catch-up, never done.
I know that feeling.
Then we get exhausted. We wake up and our first thoughts are, already? I can't wait to go to bed. We lag through our days.
That's dark.
Our low-grade energy on loan from our stimulants of choice. Even when we catch up on our sleep, we feel a deeper kind of tired. Then we turn to our escapes of choice. We run out of energy to do what's actually life-giving for our souls, like prayer, and instead we turn to the cheap fix, another glass of wine, a new show streaming online, our social media feeds, porn. We become easy prey for the tempter, just furthering our sense of distance from God and our souls. Then emotional unhealth sets in. We start living from the surface of our lives, not the core. We're reactionary. The smallest thing is a trigger. A throwaway line from the boss, a snide comment from a coworker, a suggestion from a spouse or a roommate. It doesn't take much. We lose our tempers, bark at our kids, get defensive, sulk, feel angry, sad, and often both.
I've been there.
So I think each of us have had a bit of those.
Yeah. There was an interesting distinction made in one of those lists. I forget what he said to do with it, but he made a distinction between the urgent and the important.
Yeah. The tyranny of the urgent,
yeah.
not the important.
Can you say more?
Yeah.
Things that are urgent seem important often, but the point is they might not be. They might be barking for your attention, but not actually matter that much.
So
is that what he's saying?
Yeah, we can get to this a little bit later of like what the antidote is, which is sometimes called simplicity, the ancient spiritual practice. Now it's been redubbed minimalism. But it's urgency happens when we crowd our life full of things that demand our attention, and there's not enough time for it. So like your point earlier, like it's not necessarily like things on the calendar. It's just you have invaded your own life with different responsibilities that you have to kind of spin all these plates at once, where you can't get to the things that really are important to you.
Yeah.
So what are those things? I mean, I don't know. Well, having certain nice cars, like I need to get it checked up on, or having a motorcycle, I need to go get it tuned and get it washed so it looks nice, and I actually have to ride it sometimes to enjoy it. Some of our possessions just take over in that way.
Yeah.
Begin to own you.
Or you become a slave to the possession instead of, yeah.
Or like the kids are doing their 10th sport thing of the year, and they're also doing ballet or theater, and there's so much that you can fill your life with that I have to keep getting to the next thing, and I haven't done what's really important.
And what would that be? Because when I think about like, it would be good for my kid to do ballet or sport or something like that. Those are developmentally good for my kid, and there are plenty of good things I can fill my life with. It's not all like, it's not that I'm filling it with a bunch of bad things. Like his whole bit about, you might get tempted to go do drugs and tune out and check out. Sure. But like, say that I have, I've got a pretty full schedule. 'Cause like, well, you've got 4 kids. If one of them wants to do karate and one of them wants to do gymnastics, and like your schedule is going to fill up, and it might all be good stuff. Are we saying that it's the amount of commitments, or it's the posture towards those commitments? How do you know if you have this problem? I guess it's that list you just read. Like, how are you coping?
Right.
Yeah. What's the fruit of this life you've built?
I do think that is ultimately it. I mean, you have different personalities and different that can carry heavier loads of mental bandwidth.
Totally. You have people who are very like driven, productive. I don't know. Jocko Willink gets up at 4 a.m. every day and runs 5 miles or something, and
which is great. And those guys are inspiring, but I do not often hear about his relationship with his family in his podcasts. I mean, I've listened to quite a few.
Fair enough. Which, Jocko, we're not speculating. You
No.
might have a great family life.
Yeah, it could be.
Hope you do. You probably do. But yeah. But there is a trade-off, you're saying.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Like those do, like, yeah, it's great. It's cool to learn karate and to get some exercise as a kid and make some friends. Is that though like kind of a substitute for you spending time with your kids? Is that what you
keep
meant?
them busy by sending them to this thing,
and you're just on social. You're scrolling while on your phone while they're doing their karate.
See, that's what would get me when I think about Hurry. I can really waste some time on social media. The unconscious scrolling, where you sort of realize, like, how long have I been doing this? And there is still, even though if I've been doing it for 30, there's still a sense of just one more swipe, see what's next. Like hunting for information.
Yep.
That sort of thing can really get you.
Yeah,
Man.
there's a lot of cool analogs with the financial world. Like,
Yeah.
I've been listening to more of Dave Ramsey and his whole bit about credit card, because he's like famous for being anti-credit card.
Yep.
And I still have one, and I haven't heeded the advice, but I can't deny I find it very convenient. But the stats on it they just hold up. Like, you spend more
You
when you
will
have,
spend more when you have one. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
You don't feel the pain of
Right.
loss when you use cash.
Yeah.
And so just to say, like, there's a reason why, like, he has this funny bit about, like, look at the size of your house and now look at the size of their house.
Yeah.
Like, they have big skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And you have this little house.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, like, what they're doing is working.
Yeah.
They're predating on or hijacking your biology and, your cognitive biases about the distance from your money with a credit card.
Yeah.
Same thing with social media companies and your attention. Like, they're the most powerful, richest companies in the world.
For a reason.
Yeah. They're deliberately trying to take away your attention.
They want me to have that feeling of, what if I just scroll a little bit more? Yeah. Yeah. That persistent feeling that you described there in the book of, like, always being behind, never quite being on top of it, jobs never done. I definitely felt that way, like, last year before last, in my previous role in ministry. Ministry is one of those, like, church. The job is never done. There's always more people. You never reach a finish point where it's like, okay, we made a bunch of Christians and now we're done. Like that. I don't know. We're about doing life with people, and people come and people go, and you invest in someone for months and then they leave. And, like, there is this perpetual feeling of there's always more you could do for the church.
Yep. It's become almost rote at this point with our staff team. The little, what's the best thing you have to offer someone? Your own thriving relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
Which I get, like, that sounds corny from the outside, and often does to me. But I do think it's true.
Yeah,
and I can fall in the trap of the best thing I have to offer someone is my cool program that I designed,
my talents,
or my sermon that I wrote, or I don't know, that I can be a good conversationalist or something. And it's not; those are all things that are improved by my relationship with, but it's not the same thing as my relationship.
That's like saying the greatest gift you can give someone is keeping your soul healthy.
Yes.
Because everything else you do flows out of that. Your ability to be present with somebody in a conversation, your ability to write a moving sermon, all of that is going to be influenced by, like, how healthy are you spiritually at the moment? And how closely are you cultivating your relationship with God? Yeah. So
it's recognizing that hurry is a problem. So I think we've done that to a degree. I mean, what's the number one thing people say if they decline?
Sorry, I'm so busy
doing something. Yep.
I'm too busy.
Too busy.
Sorry, I haven't been able to. I'm so busy.
And so we're just living. So sometimes that's just kind of a throwaway line, and they really are just sitting at home watching TV.
They just want to say no.
Yeah. But it's our life. I mean, that's a form of busyness, though, is just endlessly watching streams.
Oh, it is. This is what I was going to say, is when I think about, okay, if hurriedness is the problem, and the idea is we need to eliminate hurry, create some space, create some margin in our lives, there is in me a bit of a resistance to that. As anxiety producing as hurry can be, if you have an hour, say, and nothing that you have to do, now you have to choose how to spend that. And if you're anything like me, staving off boredom is a real consideration.
Yeah.
Like, to just sit for an hour, hard, unpleasant.
That's probably that's a sign that there's some kind of
there's a problem,
issue.
right? Like, I'm addicted to stimulus or something. Like, I'm addicted to doing or getting new info or something. For me to just sit on the back deck and watch the trees for an hour there would be in me a constant, like, go do something, go do something else, go do something else. Which is weird. I mean, I don't know if that's, has that gotten worse over time? Is that worse given all of the screen time and stuff that we have and how stimulating all of that is? 2,000 years ago, did people have a hard time sitting and watching trees? Did they get as bored as I do now? I don't know. But maybe we could explore, and maybe this is where you were going, okay, say you create a bit of margin. What are you supposed to do in that margin? Should you, is boredom something you should practice? Is that good? Just
So-
like,
Here's something I think is really cool about the book, and it's obviously like he's a pastor and there's a lot of religious language in it. One thing I wanted to touch on in the conversation, like now that as we're approaching the solution, like how do we address this, or how do we eliminate hurry? It's almost like everyone already is kind of running some kind of software for their lifestyle. How are you living? Or on how the New Testament authors in the Gospels talk about it as a yoke. So different rabbis, different teachers they use this metaphor of a yoke, which is like a thing that goes over the oxen that has them go in a certain way as they plow the fields or carry stuff. The oxen are yoked. It is a burden that they're bearing, but it's to get you in a clean way from from where you were to where you're going, right?
yep.
It's a way to help you correctly navigate the journey, or in our situation, to live well, to avoid misliving. Okay. So every rabbi had their yoke. And back in the day, maybe you followed a Pharisee rabbi, and they were like a little more stringent on some of the rules you had to upkeep. And so they had what's a heavy burden, or a heavy yoke. So Jesus comes along, and there's that famous line, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now, what's interesting there is Jesus he's offering you a yoke. It is something that you kind of have to put on, and it's heavy at first, and it is a burden. It's
yeah.
not nothing.
It's restrictive in some way, right? Like
Right.
a yoke. Yeah.
But the point of it is to get you where you want to go, which is like as John Ortberg said, the me I want to be, or to not hyper live, to get down to the core of my life and be present.
Yeah.
Or as Dallas Willard put, the cost of discipleship is high, but the cost of non-discipleship is higher. So like if you're finding yourself, if you resonated with that list of symptoms, then you're already incurring a cost.
You have a yoke.
This
right
isn't
now.
this isn't like we're at neutral and then you're like, oh, do I want to take on these old fuddy-duddy religious
Yeah,
ideas?
right.
Like, no, you're suffering,
You are already swamped.
and you have a yoke of sorts. It's the yoke of modernity, of the information age, and that yoke that you have on that's invisible to you, kind of like when I can't remember how the adage goes, like asking the fish if it is wet.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So
Like,
you
what does
can't-
it mean to be wet?
What
Well,
is
you're-
water?
you're always
have
wet.
No idea.
So you've been, if you haven't really thought about this, or you have this invisible yoke on you, that you are carrying this burden of, well, I need to check my phone. I have to check social media. Oh, what if someone has tagged me in a photo or a comment, and you're not actively thinking that? That's just, it's so that the wood on that yoke has so grafted onto your neck. That's come part of you.
It's
you know?
merged. Yeah.
And there's a lot of things like I need to check Netflix and what's the latest show, and I want to feel like you feel like an idiot if someone like, have you seen that show yet or played that game? And you're like, no, and then you feel like a Philistine, a barbarian that's not caught up with the times.
Uncultured.
This is all part of the deal, you know.
Yeah.
So you have this yoke, and the question is that yoke the right one? There are other yokes that you can put on. And Jesus is coming along and saying, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What I love about this book is, and he quotes Eugene Peterson, another pastor, Christianity has been so focused on Jesus as the life and the truth. Like Jesus says true doctrines, and he's the way to get eternal life. But we've forgotten about Jesus as the way. Like Jesus has this famous statement, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The way meaning a lifestyle, how to live a good human life.
He is the pattern.
Not just these little truths, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you get what I mean.
I do.
Beyond doctrine, beyond like eternal destinations.
It's a way of being.
How should you live now? Like Jesus has something to say and models how he went about doing that.
Yeah. No, that's really good, dude. So what if his yoke is easy, burden is light. What is the yoke? What is the burden?
Or maybe, sorry, the final thought with my little spiel there was, if you're a secular person watching this, consider don't worry about Jesus as like this larger than life religious figure that people are trying to tell you to believe in or put your faith in. Just consider him yet another figure that's offering a yoke that's on the table for how to live your life. And if you think it's mistaken, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, judge it by its own merits.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that things are good not because Jesus commanded them, but Jesus commanded them because they're good. They're independently. The things we're about to talk about, the solution are good for people independent of what you happen to believe about God and
Jesus.
faith.
Yeah.
They just are good for you as a person.
Just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would be some of those solutions? We've created space. Let's say we've done that. Let's say too soon.
So, yeah. What do you mean by that? I mean, you've created space. What did you do?
Looked through. I took mental inventory, or maybe actual inventory, of my the ways my time is spent, or the obligations I have on a regular basis, like what kind of life, as a lifestyle, how am I living? See if anything needs to go. See if I'm doing more than I need to, more than I should. I guess time is what I'm trying to reclaim a bit of. Because and correct me, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Could you have a packed calendar and say that you've eliminated hurry? If it's this posture thing, it's an internal disposition.
I do think that, yeah. Like with the budget analogy, that every piece of time is spoken for.
Yes. So that should still be the plan.
I don't think that's like totally antithetical. It might be for some people to live that way. It might be like too much of a change, but
yeah.
So to me, that project is the discipline of simplicity. Another way of putting simplicity is ridding your life, deciding what matters most, and ridding your life of things that distract you from that. That's the project of simplicity, to live a simple life.
When you say that, it makes it seem like there's a lot that probably needs to go in my life.
Okay, like let's explore it. Like, what do you mean?
Thinking about what matters most and eliminating things that don't help me towards that goal. I guess it is tricky, and this is the ongoing discussion of values. There's more than one thing that matter to me as being important, and some more than others. Let's compare, for example. There's two random examples. There is the relationship I'm building with my son. That's very important. That's like right up there on the list for me.
Yep.
And then there is like the fun I could have playing some VR game with my new headset.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be fun. Both of those things are somewhat important to me, but one way more than the other. The eliminating hurry doesn't mean getting rid of anything that doesn't serve the highest good in your life, right? There's still room for
a hierarchy of values.
A hierarchy of values.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I wonder, there's definitely possessions I could get rid of. Like I have more stuff than I need, and stuff that like I haven't touched in a while or is not serving me in a regular way towards the things that are important to me. It's sitting there as a one day I might need that type thing that I'm hanging on to. In terms of time I'm spent, like stuff I'm doing. It probably just does come back to this, what you and I were talking about before we even hit record, of taking on some extra work that actually isn't my job and is meaning I'm taking time from family or something to do it. Maybe there's not as much I need to eliminate as I thought. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking this through live.
Yeah. I don't think there's like what we want to avoid is, I don't think this is supposed to be a legalistic thing. It's individual, relative, and sensitive. So,
sorry, just one more thought. To help me with this the other day, I was thinking about trying to order my just my life and what am I aiming at and what's important to me. And I kind of broke it into a few categories. I'm curious how you do this practically, like how you do this when you think about your life. There's sort of these areas that I'm tending to. There's my family, obviously. There's my friendships. There's my health that I'm wanting to maintain. There's my creative outlets, whatever those happen to be.
What you're describing right now is
And
like
employer.
for those who've played the game The Sims.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little bar at the bottom. There's 6 little.
Oh, great.
There's a green bar, like it's green when it's healthy, and it's always going down.
I need one of those.
And it goes to yellow and then red, and there's 6 categories. There's hygiene,
that wasn't on my list.
hunger, and bathroom, relationships, fun,
Yeah.
and rest. I think.
Oh, okay.
And so those are always
draining.
they're always going down.
You've got to top them
and
up.
So the whole game basically is
whack-a-mole.
you going to do different things to make your bars go back up.
That is kind of the game.
It's kind of like life.
Kind of like life.
As you're describing, I mean, that's kind of an interesting way of thinking about it that developers have put into a very popular game.
Or at least I tried to pick some more broader domains that are, okay, this is important to me, this is important to me, rather than getting too granular with like, okay, well, I spent an hour yesterday doing, I don't know, learning about blockchain on YouTube or something. Like, okay, how does that fit into, maybe if I can't quickly slot something into one of those categories as to why it's important to me, then maybe I need to examine, should I really be doing this or spending my time on it? I'm just curious, sort of practically, how do you go about trying to solve it? Do you write something down, or like, do you look at your calendar? If you've been feeling this, okay, I'm hurried, I need to eliminate some. Now what?
Yeah, I'll preface it
one?
by like when I'm doing this well.
Okay.
I don't claim to have arrived.
No, sure.
This has been like a kick in the butt for me recently because I do feel like You've been hyper
hurried.
living in some ways. I was experiencing the dissonance quite a bit more when I had the dissertation hanging over my head because that was important to me to finish, and I was distracting myself with things that did not matter.
It was important but not urgent, and there were other things that seemed urgent but weren't as important.
Yeah.
Right?
That seemed
It
urgent.
became urgent.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Right. It finally. That's why I got done.
It eventually became
It finally
urgent
made its
and
way into the
important.
urgent category. Yeah, because it was costing me money.
Yeah. So when you have done it well, what does it look like when you do like an inventory? You have to do some kind of inventory.
I mean,
Or do you have an example of something you have eliminated, like a change you've made after reading this book? One of 3 times?
So I mentioned it in passing before we started, but like the biggest change was how I relate to my cell phone.
Yeah, tell me about that. I think I might have a problem.
So I followed his advice. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I don't have Facebook on there. Not really doing that, but man, I will scroll Reddit.
I did all these things. Ready? This is in his chapter on slowing down, which seems quite a bit like the opposite of hurry.
It does.
Take email off your phone, take all social media off, and put it on a desktop and schedule set times to check it during the week. Disable your web browser. Delete all notifications, including texts.
Don't get text notifications.
I have to open the text app to find it.
Would that fly at our workplace? If someone texted me and I just didn't check it till later this afternoon.
Yeah. Sorry. Ditch news apps. I don't think I went. I did most of it. Delete every single app you don't need or that doesn't make your life seriously easier, like a maps or a calculator. I've kept Sudoku, which probably should go.
Dude.
Consolidate said apps into simple boxes so your home screen isn't cluttered.
Yeah. Can I see your home screen?
And finally, set your phone to grayscale mode.
What color is a problem now? I'd differ with him there.
So
Mate, I'm not living life in black and white.
Look how much more uninteresting that is.
I do see it. I see. The idea is to break the addiction that you have staring at this shiny device. I'm just going to hold this up to the camera. I don't know if you guys can see that. Look at that. He's got 6 icons, black and white. Sorry, 6 icons, black and white.
Now I'm seeing at the top. I guess I didn't.
That does look cool, man.
A messenger came in.
I'm frightened to show you mine. Dude, I think I have 4 pages of apps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've got widgets. I've got stock charts, like just there.
Yeah.
So, okay, can I push back?
Yes.
Just a counter argument. And
I found that I don't, now when I go, like my big time was going to the bathroom.
I was going to say, so when you're in the bathroom, you are in line at the BMV. Now what do?
Bring book.
Oh, you're carting a book around?
Because that matters. Yeah, that matters more to me. And I'm happy to be doing that now.
Okay. You could have that book on your phone, though.
Yeah, fair enough. I've just never gotten into digital reading.
Or the idea is, yeah, but if it's on your phone, you'll also do all kinds of other stuff on your phone.
Maybe not if you've eliminated it all from the phone.
I have just found that for me, as I think about my relationship with social media and with my phone, it's something I go to when I have found time. It's something I go to very quickly if there's a wait for anything. And so what I tell myself is I'm redeeming all those moments through the day, and I'm using that time well to like learn or be entertained or whatever. But maybe what I'm actually doing is just creating a monster.
I think it's escapist. Yeah.
Because then, no, but how is it any more escapist than bringing a book and being like, I don't want to experience this line at the BMV. I'm going to read my book and go somewhere else. Is the true like presentist just like, I'm just going to be here in the BMV and I'll pray for that guy and I'll pray for this guy? I would say there are people out there who do that. God bless you. You're way more spiritual than me.
I think you're right. I think it is a baby step in that direction. It's more intentional. Like here is this, I want to get this into me instead of the random scrolling. And I'm just on a roller coaster of a dopamine hit. I mean, we could talk all about social media. Just insert social dilemma documentary. You know? And most people report feeling more unhappy after they look at social media than before.
Now, again, sorry, I know I'm like kicking back a lot.
No, it's
it's
fine.
like an addict trying to defend his behavior. Now, I'm not just randomly scrolling like Facebook, like people, oh, where did they go on vacation and what's going to come up? This is like, it's subreddits that I've subscribed to because I know there's subjects I'm interested in. It's like news feeds that I'm interested in this topic. Here I've got 30 minutes to catch up on the news.
Yeah.
Is that so bad?
It's better, potentially.
Because I don't feel unhappy after that. I'm not like comparing my life to others and, oh, they're so perfect on social media and my life's a wreck.
There is,
I don't have that.
I mean, and I have a suspicion of, like, because I know you, what the content of those will usually be about.
Yeah.
And I can see it being more like this sense of urgency and things are happening now. And there's some like, there's always this cumulative moment. And I'm not saying you're guilty of this any more than we all are, but Jesus has that famous statement of, you cannot serve both God and mammon.
Yeah, right.
And it's not crucially, don't, or that is like, you shouldn't do it.
So you can't.
You can't.
You can't do it.
You can't do both.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious. Maybe I should just try it like we did with the vegan thing. Maybe I should just make a little commitment and just experiment and see what it's like.
He's not saying never do social media.
Oh, I know.
Intentionally
plan for it.
Plan this is when I'm going to look at the news.
I just know that I would go through my day, and this is not a good reason. This is like an addict saying, I'll experience withdrawal. I will have those pangs of like, I'm bored. Do something. Do something. Do something. I feel it so quickly. Man, going to a urinal, peeing, and I'll feel that urge to like pull out your phone and check. There's no point. Like, so I wonder, does that go away? Because I wouldn't want to live the rest of my life with any time I bump into some found time, I'm getting pangs of, I'm bored, do something.
A couple times just in the past week that I've been doing this, I turned back on my text notification because I found myself opening the phone all the way to like check the text.
Like, has anyone texted me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one I might tweet. I'm still working on that one.
So you haven't just had set text times? Like I check my texts at 10
I haven't done
a.m.
that yet. No.
2 p.m.
I don't know.
maybe that would solve the
I
checking.
It's mostly, I don't care about the work thing at all. It's mostly like if Sarah's trying to get a hold of me.
I actually don't care too much about the work thing either, just because they've pushed this book and talked a bunch about like having proper life balance, like the thriving relationship with Jesus things that comes from our church. So yeah, I guess I'm more worried about my own psychology and ability to
Podcasts
put up
have
with
been
it.
a big Achilles heel for me, and that's something I'm wrestling, like I've justified in the past of like the found time thing.
Yeah.
And I think that might still be appropriate for something, maybe like working out or. But literally, I was just doing it every possible moment. All of my car trips
Yep.
are just, I'm gonna play 10 minutes of this conversation,
Yeah.
and it's just constantly something's happening. When why not just spend some moments in silence and.
Yep. I mean, I do think that, I think I've said this before in previous podcasts, that as much as boredom is something I'm flagging as a concern here, I don't think it's warranted. I think I've said before that if you're experiencing boredom, you're not paying enough attention. Like meditation is the cure for boredom. There is an endless stream of interesting things to pay attention to and look at and think about and whatever. But the idea of like removing something like a podcast that I love that gives me a little dopamine hit and not replacing it with something else, I don't love that. It freaks me out. Because I'm like you, every time I get in the car, yes, here we go. Get to hit that podcast button again. Like I like it. I like these people. I like hearing what they're talking about. And I look forward to my time in the car where I can drive around and hear that. So I would want to know, what am I replacing it with?
It's really the flip side. It's why is the other version scary?
Yeah.
That's what needs to be investigated.
Like, what am I avoiding?
Because no one's saying like it's not fun to listen to these personalities on the podcast or to listen to music. Sure, man. But if you weren't to do that, why is it then like frightening to not do it? Because now that's not the same thing anymore. Like,
yeah,
just saying, like, I don't feel that way about laser tag.
Yeah,
I'm not scared to
fun.
not be doing laser tag tomorrow, and it's fun.
Yeah,
I like to play laser tag, or did when I was a youth.
Yeah,
but why is it like I'm afraid to sit out on my deck for an hour with nothing and just sit there and look out at my backyard?
It would make me a little anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broken in the mind, man. Something's wrong with me. That shouldn't be.
And boredom can be some of the greatest moments of creativity and clarity and dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people experience this in the shower. It's one of the few times in our day as modern human beings that you're kind of by yourself and not. I mean, some people have shower radios and the whole deal, and maybe you do blast the podcast or something while you're
Usually
in there.
I don't,
Yeah.
but I have been known to if
Okay.
I'm excited about one.
Yeah. So it's one of those rare moments where there's more hurdles to like get that going, and and people report like, I had an idea in the shower this morning. Shower thoughts is a whole subreddit itself.
Yeah.
But that's just one little recommendation in the slowing category.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of interesting, even thinking about slow movement as an indicator of contentment and enjoying life. Like, think of like just the archetypal figures of wisdom. Almost all of them are depicted as slow moving creatures, right?
Like they,
Yoda.
They're right where they need to be right now.
Yeah, Yoda is not he's in no hurry
He's
at
not
all.
trying to get somewhere.
Now and it's that juxtaposition when he fights Count Dooku when he's in a lightsaber battle. Now he like takes off his robe all slow, and then he is flipping all over the place.
He's got
fighting.
the energy.
Yeah, once it's important. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he's just kind of moseying around. Or a Gandalf or a Dumbledore.
I love that scene.
Like the
when Yoda
wise old
goes crazy.
men. They're all slow. None of them are like running around.
Yeah. You don't imagine Jesus frantically running from one group of people to the other and
No.
trying to do his ministry. Yeah.
So like Jesus, back to Jesus for a second, like his yoke, that guy had a really packed schedule, was going from town to town and doing this itinerant preaching, and the crowds wouldn't leave him alone. But he made sure to, like, I am going to get away and seek solitude. It would say he would go out before the sun came up if he had to. Even though he had a full day the previous day and the next day, I am going to go out into the wilderness to find that shalom and solitude, being alone, in his case, with God and in silence, was just part of his rhythm.
You've really convicted me, man.
Oh.
Well, just like through this conversation, I'm just realizing it's been too long since I was in a regular habit of making space like that. Like I would go for walks in these woods all the time and just chat to God. It's been a while since I've done that. Probably a good season for me too, to start thinking about, okay, what's really important? What could different rhythms look like?
Maybe we can shift here to the what he says is the foundational one that he would recommend people start with is none of that stuff. It's going to be too hard. You won't be able to do it. You're so basically broken and diseased from your addiction.
We're trying to form new habits, right?
That's why I don't think we start with carve out space, because you're immediately going to feel all of that angst and you'll just fail.
I felt it just imagining.
Yeah. So